The day I handed my younger sister the spare key fob to my condo, I told her it was just for emergencies. 2 years later, she used it to declare the whole place hers, and then left a handwritten note with my building's concierge to let me know I was no longer welcome in my own home. I was standing in the lobby of my building in Leslieville, Toronto, dragging a carry-on suitcase after 3.5 weeks on the road in Vancouver. I had a client presentation first thing in the morning, and my bones ached in the particular way that only comes from too many red-eye flights and not enough real sleep. When I tapped my fob against the elevator panel and nothing happened, I assumed the battery had died. I went to the concierge desk to ask for help. That's when Rodrigo, who had worked the evening shift in my building for 4 years and always greeted me by name, slid an envelope across the counter with the kind of expression people wear when they're delivering news they want no part of. "It was dropped off this morning," he said quietly. "I'm sorry, Ms. Isla." I already knew it was bad before I opened it. My sister's handwriting is unmistakable. She still writes every I with a small circle instead of a dot, something she started doing in middle school and never outgrew. The note was brief. It said, "The locks have been changed. I've packed your personal things into the storage locker downstairs. This is our home now. You travel constantly. You're never here anyway. Declan and I have been the ones actually taking care of this place. It's time we had some stability." I read it twice. Then I folded it neatly into thirds, tucked it into the front pocket of my laptop bag, thanked Rodrigo, and walked out into the cold March air without making a sound. I didn't call her. I didn't ring the unit from the intercom and demand she let me in. I didn't stand on the front steps and scream everything I was feeling into the dark. I walked 2 blocks to a coffee shop on Queen Street East, ordered a tea I didn't really want, sat down in the back corner, and thought very carefully about what I was going to do next. My name is Isla. I'm 30 years old, and I work as a senior project manager at a management consulting firm with offices in Toronto, Calgary, and Montreal. The job is demanding in ways that are hard to explain to people who haven't lived it. I'm on site with clients for weeks at a stretch, flying between cities before most people have finished their morning coffee. I love the work, and I'm good at it. But it meant that when I bought my condo 3 years ago, I spent more nights in hotel rooms than I did in my own bed. I bought that unit entirely on my own. No cosigner, no family money, no help from anyone. I had been saving for 6 years. Working weekends, turning down trips, moving every bonus into a high-interest savings account, and watching the number grow with the kind of quiet determination that doesn't make for good stories at dinner parties. The unit was a 2-bedroom on the 7th floor, south-facing, with a small balcony that caught the afternoon light in a way that made the whole place feel warmer than it was. I paid $618,000 for it. My down payment was $155,000. The day I got the keys, I sat on the empty floor and cried a little, which I have never told anyone. 6 months after I moved in, my younger sister called me in tears. Her marriage to Declan was new then, just under a year, and they were living in a basement apartment in Scarborough. Their landlord had sold the building. The new owner was renovating, and they had 60 days to find somewhere else to go. My sister is 4 years younger than me and has always been the one our mother worried over, the one who needed extra time, extra patience, extra grace. I offered her what felt, at the time, like a reasonable solution. She and Declan could stay in my second bedroom and have the run of the unit while I was traveling for work. I wasn't asking for rent, just that they cover the monthly condo fees, which were $720 at the time, keep the place maintained, and treat it with the basic respect that a space I'd spent 6 years saving for deserved. There was no lease. I understand now how significant that omission was. At the time it felt like a formality I didn't need between sisters. For the first several months, things seemed fine. My sister would send me the occasional photo. A new candle on the kitchen counter, a plant on the balcony, the couch rearranged. I told myself she was nesting, making herself comfortable, which seemed reasonable enough. Then the photos stopped coming. When I came home between trips, I started noticing things. A piece of furniture I hadn't bought. My grandmother's china moved to the back of a high shelf to make room for her own dishes. My coats pushed to one side of the front closet. Small erasures, one at a time. I brought it up once, gently, or at least I thought it was gently. My sister told me I was being possessive about a space I was never even in. My mother, when I mentioned it on a phone call, said I should be grateful my sister was holding the fort while I was off, living my corporate life. I let it go. I should have trusted what I was seeing. The note I found with Rodrigo changed everything. That night, I booked an Airbnb 2 blocks away, a one-bedroom above a Portuguese bakery that smelled like warm bread in the mornings, and paid for 2 weeks up front. Then I sat on the edge of the unfamiliar bed and opened our family group chat, which had already been going for hours. My sister had posted while I was still on my flight. She'd written a long message explaining that she and Declan had made the difficult but necessary decision to formally claim residency in the condo, because I had essentially abandoned the property. She said she had been holding things together for 2 years without recognition or support, that she deserved stability, that the home needed someone who was actually present. She included a photo of the living room, candles lit, flowers in a vase I'd never seen, Declan's jacket hanging on the hook by the front door where my own coat used to go, captioned "Finally home." My mother had replied within minutes, "I always knew you'd make that space beautiful. So proud of you both." My aunt had sent heart emojis. My uncle had written congrats on the new place. As if she'd just signed a lease somewhere. As if any of this was ordinary. My cousin, the one I've always been closest to, sent me a private message that said only, "Are you okay? What is happening?" I put my phone face down on the duvet and stared at the ceiling for a while. Then I called the only person I needed to speak to. My real estate lawyer. A woman I'd worked with since I bought the condo and trusted completely. "They changed your locks?" she said, after I'd explained everything. "Yes. And my sister has apparently registered herself as the primary occupant with the Condo Corporation's management office. I don't yet know what documentation she used." There was a pause. "Isla, you own the title outright. It's registered with the province through the land registry. Whatever she told the Condo Corporation doesn't change ownership. She has no legal standing." "I know," I said, "but I don't want to go in swinging. I want to understand the full picture before I do anything." "That's the right instinct," she said. "Let me pull the Condo Corporation records and make some calls tomorrow morning. In the meantime, don't go to the unit. Don't call your sister. Don't respond in writing to anything that could be read as acknowledging a tenancy dispute." I agreed. We hung up. And then I did something that surprised even me. I turned off my notifications, pulled the blinds, and went to sleep. What my sister did not know, what none of my family knew, was that 14 weeks earlier, I had purchased a townhouse in Hamilton. It wasn't a secret I'd been protecting for dramatic effect. I'd bought it as part of a long-term investment strategy I'd been building with my financial advisor for almost 2 years. A move out of the Toronto market to something more manageable, closer to the Niagara Escarpment, in a neighborhood near Dundas that I'd fallen quietly in love with on a drive through one October afternoon. I paid $478,000 for it, with a substantial down payment drawn from investments I'd been building since my mid-20s. The place was vacant, unfurnished, and waiting. I had planned to mention it at Christmas casually, the way you mention something you're proud of but don't need to perform about. Instead, on that Thursday night in March, I drove down the QEW, unlocked the front door of the townhouse with a key I'd never had real occasion to use, and sat on the floor of the empty kitchen because I hadn't bought furniture yet. I ordered pizza. I ate it alone in a house that smelled like fresh paint and new drywall and possibility. And I thought through every step of what needed to happen next. For the following 3 weeks, I said nothing. Not one word to my sister. Not one reply in the family chat. Not one comment on the photos she kept posting. The dinner parties in my dining room, the mirror she'd hung in the hallway where my print used to be, the caption on a video of her and Declan cooking together in my kitchen that read "Grateful for this life we're building." I watched it all from a distance, the way you watch weather coming in from across a lake. I went to work. I took my next client trip. I answered emails. On the surface, I was simply a woman who had walked away. Underneath, I was building something very carefully. My lawyer had uncovered what my sister had actually done. Bridget, too confident, too rushed, too certain that my silence meant surrender, had gone directly to the Condo Corporation's management company and signed a resident information form. On it, she declared herself and Declan the sole primary residents of the unit. She told the management office that I had vacated the property. She had used the spare fob I'd given her to access the building's mail area and intercept correspondence from the condo board that had been addressed to me. She had no idea what that correspondence contained. 6 months before any of this happened, the condo board had voted to approve a significant capital repair project. The building's 2 elevator systems were failing, and the lobby infrastructure was well past its service life. The reserve fund covered less than half the cost. The board approved a special assessment of $26,400 per unit to be invoiced in 2 installments. The first installment notice, $13,200, due within 45 days of mailing, had been processed through the Condo Corporation system under the name my sister had submitted as primary responsible occupant. Her name, not mine. My lawyer also confirmed that my sister had quietly stopped paying the monthly condo fees 2 months earlier. At $720 a month, that was $1,440 in arrears, now compounding interest, with the Condo Corporation already preparing to register a lien against the unit. She thought she was moving into a free home, my lawyer said, in that calm, precise tone I'd come to appreciate. She moved into a liability. "What are my options?" I asked, though I already had a sense of where I wanted to go. She walked me through it clearly. Since Bridget had never signed a lease, had no formal tenancy agreement, and had no legitimate claim to the property under any documentation, she had far fewer protections than a formal tenant would under Ontario's Residential Tenancies Act. I held the title. If I wanted to pursue a writ of possession through the Superior Court, we could do that. But there was a cleaner path. "List the unit," my lawyer said simply. "Let the corporation's financial process run its course while you do." I listed the condo 13 days after the note at the concierge desk. My real estate agent had represented me through the original purchase, and I trusted her completely. She arranged showings during the windows when I knew Bridget and Declan would both be at work. She was discreet. She was efficient. 18 days after listing, we had an offer. $728,000, cash buyer, 30-day close. We accepted. I still had not spoken a single word to my sister. The $13,200 special assessment demand arrived at the unit on a Wednesday. I know this because my sister sent me a message at 11:51 that night. The first contact she'd made since leaving the note with Rodrigo. "What is this?" "There's a bill here from the Condo Corporation for over $13,000 and it's addressed to me." "What is going on? This has to be a mistake." I didn't answer. She sent 3 more over the next 2 days, each one shifting in tone, from confused to worried to furious. On the 5th message, she told me she had called the management office and learned about the second installment. Another $13,200 in 60 days. She had also learned about the arrears, the compounding interest, and the pending lien. That message was long, several paragraphs. She used the word vindictive twice and set up 4 times. She said she was going to get legal advice. I read every word. I replied to none of them. 4 weeks after the note at the concierge desk, my sister and my mother walked through the front doors of my firm's Toronto office. I heard from a colleague before I saw them, a quick message. "Your sister is here. She and an older woman. Looks tense." I told him not to call anyone and took the elevator down. They were standing near the reception desk. My sister was holding a sheaf of papers with the white-knuckled grip of someone who is very frightened and has decided to weaponize that fear. She was wearing her good coat. My mother stood slightly behind her, already composing her expression into something between reproach and sorrow. The look she's had ready my entire life, for moments when I've done something she needs to disapprove of, publicly. "You need to fix this," my sister said, before I'd fully crossed the lobby. Her voice was shaking. "That bill, the special assessment, you knew about it. You knew, and you let me walk into it. You did this deliberately." "I let you make choices," I said. "You made them. This is your property. Whatever fees are attached to it are your responsibility." "Were my responsibility," I said. I reached into my bag and set a file folder on the reception counter. Inside were 3 documents, which I placed down one at a time. "This is the title deed to the unit, registered in my name with the province. This is the resident information form you filed with the Condo Corporation's management company, in which you stated I had vacated the property, which is a fraudulent misrepresentation." I set the last page on top. "And this is the signed agreement of purchase and sale for the condo, completed 4 days ago. The buyer takes possession in 26 days. The lobby went very quiet. My sister's face moved through several expressions before arriving somewhere blank. My mother made a sound. Not words, just a sound, small and airless. "You have 26 days to remove your belongings," I said. My voice was steady. I hadn't been certain it would be, but it was. "Any amounts owing to the Condo Corporation attributable to your period of residency will be addressed through the appropriate channels. I'd start packing soon. Some of that furniture looks heavy." I closed my bag. "Take care of yourselves." I turned and walked back to the elevator. My hands, when I checked them in the mirrored panel, were completely still. I wasn't sure what I'd expected to feel in that moment. What I actually felt was something quiet and complete. Not triumph exactly, but the particular satisfaction of a thing that has been resolved correctly. The closing happened on a Thursday afternoon in late April, with the spring light coming long through the windows of my lawyer's office on Bay Street. After the mortgage discharge, my agent's commission, legal fees, title insurance, and the various adjustments that come with any property transfer, I walked away with $247,000 deposited into my account. That was profit. Clear, real profit, over and above the $155,000 I had put down 3 years earlier and every mortgage payment I'd made since. My sister and Declan moved into a 2-bedroom rental in Etobicoke. $2,900 a month, no parking included. My cousin mentioned it in passing. I didn't ask for details. My mother left 2 voicemails in the weeks after the closing. I listened to both of them. They contained phrases like "tearing this family apart" and "never thought you could be this cruel." I saved the recordings and I haven't returned the calls. That is not something I feel particularly good about, and it is not something I intend to explain or apologize for yet. Some things take time to work out. Some things take more than I currently have available. I spent a long weekend in May painting the living room of my Hamilton townhouse, a warm gray I'd been staring at on a color chip for months. I bought a proper couch, a kitchen table big enough for 6, and a large fiddle-leaf fig for the bedroom corner. I put a spare key on a hook by the front door where it belongs, sitting there in case someone I actually trust needs it someday. Not because I've become suspicious of everyone, because I understand now what trust costs and what it means to give it without terms. People have asked me whether I feel guilty, whether waiting as long as I did, saying nothing, letting my sister dig herself deeper week by week, was too calculated, too deliberate, too cold. I've thought about it honestly, the way you have to think about things that actually matter. Here is what I know. I could have called the police that first night and exercised my legal right to have her removed by morning. I could have responded to every message, every group chat post, every staged photo and pointed caption. I could have shown up at my own front door and forced a confrontation on the porch in the dark. All of that would have been faster, It also would have let her play the role she had already cast herself in. The wronged one. The put-upon one. The sister who was just trying to build a home, while I stormed around causing damage. My silence took that role away from her. Every choice she made in those weeks, she made freely, without pressure, without interference, and every consequence that followed was the direct result of those choices. I didn't trap her. I simply stopped protecting her from herself. That's not coldness. That's just what it looks like when you finally stop absorbing the cost of someone else's decisions. If you've ever extended a hand to someone in your family and had them take your whole arm, you already understand what I mean. And if you haven't, I genuinely hope you never do. But if you find yourself there, standing in a lobby somewhere with a note you didn't expect, my honest advice is this: go quiet. Not forever. Just long enough to see clearly. The truth has a way of arranging itself when you stop rushing it. What would you have done? Would you have confronted her that first night? Or played the long game? Drop your city in the comments below. I'd love to see how far this story has traveled.